Yes, greetings. Yeah, to each and everyone, each and everyone through His Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie the First. Yeah, and that is significant. And I want everyone to know that.
Yeah.
You know, because them have to them people who them hold, you know, in a high esteem, you know. So His Imperial Majesty is at the pinnacle of, you know, the consciousness of our one-on-one. So, yeah, greetings to each and everyone through His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie the First.
Ja Rastafari, right?
I read.
Yeah, well, definitely, man. So, how was your week, man?
Well, it was good because I had a medical procedure done yesterday where I removed a cataract from my right eye, and I had a follow-up checkup with the doctors, you know, to see how it's coming along, and that leads us and lead me into even wanting to expound on that a little because
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
when I went to the hospital, and the hospital that I go to, because I have a couple of conditions. One is called myasthenia gravis, which is an autoimmune condition. And I also have a thyroid condition, which is also an autoimmune condition. And I've developed, because of those two conditions, I've developed, you know, eye problems and different, you know, things that are associated with those two conditions. So when I went, I had a checkup with my doctor, ophthalmologist, and when they informed me that I had a cataract situation, which was very dense, and they scheduled an appointment immediately, so they expedited, you know, very quickly. And when I did the procedure yesterday, but when you go to the hospital, you see all these different areas of medical practice. You have neurologists, you have urologists, you have the cardiologists, you have the endocrinologists, you know, and you have so many different areas in medicine. And what I noticed in the hospital, I've been noticing it for a long time, is that I see a very, very, very small amount of people of African ancestry in those medical areas. But I notice we have an abundance of our people running around, you know, running around with their pants falling off. You go into the hospitals, you see, I think maybe, I would say maybe 85% of the nurses in the hospitals, they're females. And there's a need for male nurses. And that's one area where even our, you know, young men could utilize those opportunities. But then again, we have so much stigma and, you know, so much, you know, idiosyncrasies and so much ego that most of our men wouldn't want to pursue profession in nursing. Yeah, so when I look in, you know, just by seeing, experiencing the procedure being done, you know, it's just nothing short of a miracle because they took out the. Well, I had known for a number of years that I had stigmatism, and what stigmatism does to the eye, it changes the form of the eye. Instead of it being round, it's more like spherical. So what they did, they put in a different lens. They remove something from the eye and put in what they call a new lens, and also something that helps to reshape the eye back to its normal shape. And I had lost pretty much maybe 75% of sight in my right eye. And a day after, I can see significant result from the procedure that they've done. But again, I just want to really amplify that there's too much. There's a lot of opportunities for our young people to pursue rather than running around. There's no excuse for our people not to be pursuing constructive and helpful, ways to uplift oneself rather than doing a lot of what I see they're doing. There's just no excuse.
Yeah, but some people would say it's because, they don't have money. Or some people would just say that, they don't have the opportunity because some people in the country, they're not straight. And some of them probably cannot pursue some of that stuff.
I wasn't referring to people outside of the country. I'm referring to people who specifically were born here. And even if you come legally at a certain age, the opportunities are endless just the same. So there is no excuse whatsoever in this age and time, because I see where they're pretty much like even paying you to go to school here. Student debt has been forgiven. Come on. Like I said, you go in the hospital, you have neurologists, you have cardiologists, you have endocrinologists, you got ophthalmologists, you have optometrists, you have radiologists, you have nutritionists. There's so much, and that's nothing. You could call so much more. And outside of that, you have skilled profession, where you have carpentry, you have plumbing, you have electricians, you have automotive. There's so many different things. There's absolutely no reason for our people to be running around and not doing anything constructive with their lives. None whatsoever.
But what I find in the hospitals, is a lot of, you're right, there's not a lot of our people that's taking up that kind of profession. You find a lot of whites, you find a lot of other nations except for the blacks. I do find that a lot in the hospitals.
Recently, a poll was done, and I think there were about 16 graduates from a medical school, I think. And out of it, there was only one male from the 16 graduates, one male person, all females. And if you go into the hospitals right now, you can see it's basically predominantly dominated by women. So where does that leave us? Our men just aren't doing anything constructive. Just aren't, and it really is a travesty. Because when I go to the hospital, what I see our men doing is mopping the floors and doing the menial or at the bottom of the barrel, at the lowest tier, doing, you know. And then when we find ourselves as men in that position, how does that affect us personally? How does that affect, you know, how does our women see us? And how does that impact our relationship with our queen and our posterity, the children that we have? So, and that opens up a broad, you know, conversation just by our men not rising and really taking education serious and pursuing meaningful careers from an early age.
You see, you say our men. I would say our youths. I have to call upon the youths. You have to be a youth and learn to be a man from a youth stage. So, at the educational system, feel broad in those areas of which you just speak of. All of those areas, there's medical areas where it should be instituted in as vocational subject in school. Because you can't wait till when they're out of school, then they're gonna seek career. You have to give them that teaching at a younger stage. From them turn 13, then you start put it in the net. Because that's where you learn because from 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Still at those young mind, young age. So they grow up with that sense of being learning to master a field. When you wait till you're 21, 22, it's not there. It's not there. They don't know what to go, so they take whatever thrown at them. Like you said, they are the map out it and them appear in other place, the map of floor. Well, sorry, but that's how they look at us. They, them, others, because the system is against all kind of people. So we have to make it better and the institute will make sure implement those traits in the educational system from early stage. So the youth them can grasp at a better future. I mean, having something locked on what they want to do and they move forward in those areas. Not just vocational subject as electrician, machinist, and mechanical installation or carpentry or masonry. It should be in the medical field, full scale, same way. Because we heard about Florence Nightingale and Dr. Hyde. But Florence Nightingale was the nurse, meaning they taught us that women are nurses. And then the doctor was Mr. Hyde, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. They were the doctor, whatever. The doctor is, we learn the doctor is the male culprit. I mean, so nowadays you find that being a nurse is a unisexual trait. You have man being a nurse too. But 30, 40 years ago, it was considered women and a nurse. Florence Nightingale, number one. So I wouldn't say it's too late, but I mean, it wasn't considered then. Men don't like to do things that's printed out for women. You know? So that's where I'm coming from, which I see. So now the door is open for our men to embark on a career as a nurse, but then you have to teach them from a young stage. So they look forward to that calling growing up, becoming kind of adults, adulthood, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if I'm wrong, but that's my opinion. It should be a subject taught in school at a young age. Yeah, because leave a young man during an early stage, adolescent ages, then it's too much room for confusion. You know, yeah, getting worse and worse every year. Youths, them, them growing up in our last world, they are left behind.
Well, just like I was saying, when the experience I have when I go to the hospital, all the areas of specialties are dominated by other races. They're especially our men, they're not taking advantage of the opportunities. There are a number of factors that contribute to that I understand. And learning starts from conception. That's another thing that our people and people of African ancestry in this country need to learn. That learning starts from conception. And also, when a couple gets together and decide to have a child, that's another thing. Because a lot of children being born in this Asian time are planned. It's not a planned and thought out situation where we say, well, we're gonna make a child together. It's something that just happened impromptu, like
Natural.
I see you and we have sex and you have a child. It's not something that's thought out properly. It's not something where it's not a case where a male prepares himself financially and psychologically and emotionally and put those factors into place to say, well, at a certain age I'm going to become a father. I want to become a father. And in order for me to be an efficient father, then I have to have these things in place. So we're lacking, you can see in our community, we're lacking these preparatory needs to prepare women or young men and our young women and our children to be great parents. And so, because what I'm talking about, what I'm highlighting is if you're not being exposed and if you don't have a strong foundation on which that is, moving you forward and pointing you in the right direction at all times, then you're not going to be able to find yourself in these key areas. So our situation, our community is being plagued by a number of dire factors. And these things, when they happen, it takes an insidious effect. It just doesn't, the end result of it and the magnitude of it, it comes over time. So we see one little thing happening, and then slowly and slowly, it grows and just balloons at the end now. And we have a big dilemma, a catastrophic dilemma, where we see we're turning on each other now. And, we talk about Black Lives Matter, and all that kind of stuff. But if you really look at it in an honest way, we are taking more of our own lives than the people who we're opposing. And while I'm on that topic, I just want to say that when certain people do us certain harm, I expect them to do that. When they kill us, in a heinous way, I expect that of them. But when we see where we are killing each other at a far more rapid rate, then we're really being hypocrites, because we're not facing our situation head on and say, well, before we can deal with these other culprits and perpetrators, we have to deal with ourselves first. So we just have a lot going on, a lot going on. And I could go on and on and on and on. Just highlighting what I see that's taking place with our people, my people of African ancestry. And I think for the most part we have really gotten very weak, in trying to, when we're not propagating the right fortitude to offset what's happening to us. We are more giving into and distracted by other things. So I was talking to a female yesterday, and she says she has five children, and all of them are doing pretty fine, except one. He's 22 and he's still living with her, and he's not doing anything constructive. And she's planning on having him go to the army or try to get him to go into the army, because he doesn't have any discipline. And I said to her, I said, well, I started asking her, where's the father, and stuff like that. And what I gather from it is that she felt some kind of relief that four of them are doing well. But one, and I said, you know what? I think you should treat that one as if he's the only one you have. Because it seems to me like she felt like, well, I could deal with this, whatever he's dealing with, and if I lose him to the streets, or if I lose him to whatever, well, at least I have four that's doing well. But no, because the Bible said, the good shepherd, if him have 900 sheep, one gone astray, you can't find him, go and search for it until you find him. So, yes, because that one there means just as much as the 99. And so, and I said to her, well, you should never promote the idea of your child going into the army and stuff like that. There are other areas in which he could turn his life around or whatever. But that's the next topic. Yes, I did.
Well, learning is learning. And you have to know, you have to use whatever method is there, whether you like it or not, to manipulate the kind of lifestyle you want to live in the end. So whatever you do, make it benefit you. a kid who I've seen the decades I've seen. It's the life ain't easy. So, you know, you just have to tie on because you try the best thing you can try. And life can show you a dirty curve. What you gonna do? I have the courage to know so we have to fight that negativism. Every day you wake up. You have to keep fighting this negative force that itches at you to draw you and you have to ignore. So you imagine a kid without no parental compass. Wow, it's not easy. I know it's not easy for me as an adult. No easy.
Well, I don't know of anyone who was ever manifested without a parent. So,
You call them off.
you know,
You call them off. Then him off.
I really don't know about that. You know, them say Jesus born come through immaculate conception, but I don't know of that. I know that everyone that I know have a mother and father, but if you end up that them run off, leave you, or disown you is a different thing. So that is where one, that's where we start from. That's why I mentioned that.
So let me ask you.
There is no preparation. There's no preparation. I noticed there is no preparation from parents. As they, you know, parents, you're not prepared. You know, we're not being prepared, and we're talking about school. We're not dealing with no school business. I'm talking about mothers and fathers should evolve and start making decisions, start to cultivate the self-will and the volition to see how best they can prepare their children to become good parents, how to communicate with the opposite sex, and how to, it's not about, if we look at the demographics of, you know, couple, now the roles, there's no mandatory roles for women or any mandatory role for man anymore. And we have, our people of African ancestry have to grow out of that as it relates to us. I mean, some cultures can deal with that, because I see right now where you have certain races that the women take care of the children, or they might do the bookkeeping or stuff like that, and the man takes care of the financial part of the house. But when I look into that community, I see there's order, there's structure, and there's discipline. In our community, there's no order, there's no structure, there's no discipline. We're splintered and fractured, and everybody's just doing their own thing. And what really irks me is that every time someone comes around who say they want to be leaders of our people, it's under a religious banner. That's one of the things that really just gripes me a lot. And our situation is so unique that I think that's the wrong direction, because regardless of what denomination you are, you could practice that, but there should be a central movement that includes everyone, regardless of whether you want to be a Muslim, or you want to be a Pentecost, or you want to be a Jehovah's Witness, or you want to be 5%, or you want to be whatever you want to be, or a Holy Ghost, or a Jesus only. Yes, you could but it is imperative that we should have a centralized movement that everyone can come and find, that we can discuss and organize and propel ourselves forward. Because I don't believe in, our children playing basketball and them things anymore, representing some people who don't care about us. I'm totally radical to the point where I don't even support them things anymore. I would rather my son come and say, I want to be a carpenter or a plumber, rather than go to play basketball and make billions.
So, what roles do you say early exposure play on our child?
From conception. Because when we talk about content, when I say that is because when a woman is pregnant, she needs to eat right and to meditate, and likewise a father, nutrition and spirituality, everything comes together as a package, You over us? So when a woman is pregnant, she has to stay calm, she has to feed her mind with a lot of upful things and meditation and exercise and the right food, and because the child is absorbing all of that energy, all of that. But right now, if you find a princess and you say, well, and start to make do a thing, and you say, well, would I like to come that way and thing. It's a big fight you're going on over there. It's a war.
Yeah, because you know what I noticed that sometimes not in our black community, what I see, when the woman are pregnant, them normally use a headphone and put soft music on, and the baby hear the soft music in the belly. You understand me? Some of them sit down and then read to the baby in the belly. You understand me? As them say from conception, so it's from birth. So,
Yes, I.
So what the baby, what you think the baby now understand and the baby now feel and the baby now hear, that come through the mother. So the baby is going to feel it. The baby is going to be exposed to it.
Yeah, why you think a lot of our children now come out hyperactive is because the mother experienced so much stress and so much trauma. They see so much happening, and the baby, absorbing all of that energy, and so that's why they come out, in that fashion most times,
Right.
compounded with the intake of alcohol and tobacco. It was so frightening. I was explaining it to someone recently that growing up in Jamaica, as bad as, I just can't understand what's happening in Jamaica. But I can't remember seeing 5 women in Jamaica growing up as a youth smoking out in the street. I can't remember seeing that. When I come on here and see, them princesses smoke and drink, it just really, I'm taken aback. I said, wait, I said the thing going on, so, but Jamaica's caught up with what's going on here now, because as I watch some programs, I see our Jamaican women, they caught up with the foreigners, man, and even step past them, because some of the people, yes, because some of the people who I see, they're, say they're entertainers, and their code of conduct and the way they comport themselves, Yes, a different thing. Because right now, most of the women in Jamaica, is not, they're not no, if you look at them, it's not no, it's not no, they're not no real, it's some, it's a makeover, it's a makeover women, you know, yeah man, with the body enhancement and.
What you say about you?
Well, the man them at Jamaica, all of them are dog, because everybody call themselves dog, you know. You know.
All of them are dog.
All of them are dog.
Vomit and I eat too.
Yeah, and you know.
That's what dogs do, you know that.
And advertise their posterior, you know.
And vomit and turn around.
You know, so, you know, just going back to core of the conversation is that really, when we really look around, you know, it's just a lot of problems we have. But, you know, give thanks to Sister Natasha. I met her on the train a couple of days ago, and we had one just so, it was so enlightening. And most times when I have a good conversation, it's coming from the women. So I'm not going to bash them too much, because you really have some of the women turning out and really going to school and learning. And kudos and top, you know, honest to the women. Because the man them, not doing nothing dread.
Don't shame them, they don't want to be saved.
You know, but I see a lot of the women really trying. And, you know, because even Senator, when I first saw her, I think she said she's 52, and when I saw her, I thought she was a teenager, and I was really, yeah, man. And I'm looking at her and I'm trying to figure out whether this woman is a teenager or she's a grown woman. Yeah. And finally, I went up to her and asked her a question, because there was an ad, because I met her on the train, and I was on the train platform, and there was an ad where they were talking about surfing and surfing kills. And I said to her, she was on the phone, but I didn't realize that she was on the phone. So I said something to her, and then she automatically, instinctively just take out the earphone and said, "What are you saying?" And I said, "You know, what do you think about the ad? Do you think this ad helps? Does it have any impact?" And the conversation blossomed from there, and it's one of the most enlightening. I think she's accomplished she has a master's degree, and she's going for her PhD. Yeah, yes, Sister Natasha, you know, love the vibration, you know, and that, you know, and that leads me into another thing too, because what I find out is that when you find these women, you know, intelligent, beautiful, they're all taken, man. They're not single, you know, so you can see there's a need for. You know, so there are some men out there who really need some nice, intelligent, beautiful women, and anytime them find them virgin, I'm not letting them go. So, you know, I just had to just, you know, compliment her and keep moving. But that was a good vibration. You know. No, I wouldn't. Well, she did say she have no, she said she's involved, yes, and the person that she's involved with, I think he has a bachelor's degree, and but she said she wants to go out to, I think, Washington to finish up a course, and he's going to stay in. No, she doesn't have any children. She doesn't have any children. I don't think she's going to have any children. I think she has adopted her siblings and, you know, her siblings, children rather. So, but yeah, man. But I advised her. I said, you know, I wouldn't recommend you know, a long distance relationship. And she said, no, man, it's all right. You know, discipline. She said discipline. So I didn't, you know, pursue any personal, you know, try to get any digits or anything like that. I just appreciated her and admired her for the conversation and her level of intelligence. And she's from Trinidad, you know. So there you go. You know. Well, there was no barking going on. There's no barking going on. If anything, I'm just glad for the person that she's with, because obviously that person, you know, I think that person, you know.
All I know is, you know what? I'm glad to say everything is all right with you. If you're comfortable where you are, stay where you are. You're right here. I'm not going to disturb that comfort.
Like I said, that wasn't what that wasn't.
You said something earlier about the Jamaican man. Said the mother, well, you are no one.
Well, the guy can't address me as what my dog. No, but you know, but I'm just saying. And
hold on. Before you go any further, right? I want to ask you a question. Would you mess with a married woman? Me never asked you. But you can't answer for the money.
well.
Oh, you know that.
Well, when it comes to, it depends what you mean. If you would mess with a married woman, it depends. You know, because
you don't look like that kind of guy.
Well,
no man, don't break me heart.
There is no. It depends. It depends on. It depends. No, it depends. It depends. It depends. It depends.
So which part of the business you say you?
Because
you get some finance people that you know you're not for them thinking right. So why are that about?
Well,
depends on how you feel at the moment.
If you give me a chance, you know, if you give me a chance, if you give me a chance, you know, because you know, when you ask a question, well, if you're allowed explaining to be done, you might. No, well. So, to the question, you know, when you say if she's married, it's still a very vague question. You have to be more specific. You know, you have to be more specific because you could meet someone who is married and she's a widow.
No.
Or you could meet someone. Or you could meet someone who is married and is still not enjoying the atmosphere of a marriage. So then you could be involved with that person and still not involved in different ways. It doesn't necessarily that you have to be engaged with her in a sexual manner. You could still be a support for while she's going through what she's going through, and probably wants to even disembark off of that journey. So then, you know, it's different things to the whole thing. So you can't just cut and dry say no, or you wouldn't. No, because there's different things going on here. Because if you change it around, you know, maybe you might be married and need some support from someone, and maybe want even that person maybe to even wait on you until you can resolve what you're going through. So, you know, well, I always have to try to remember that whatever situation that we're faced with, you know, it's a dual thing. You know, it's not just have two sides to it. So, you know.
There are certain things that man not to do, especially when God put on the rule and say, God put on your foot and said, that nothing happen.
Well, Sadie, you know, you're always on the God thing, but I know,
Oh, you ain't like God thing.
I know
You know
about,
that God thing.
I know about some Ireland God
Oh,
thing
you
there.
know.
Cause
You
I don't really know about them things, but there's no said, there's no said there's a greater power. So a lot of times we are always involving God in this. It's like most of the so-called people who are Jamaican now say about the music and pure destructive thing them about them as oh God this and God that and they're thankful to God. God, where what? God have nothing to do with where you deal with brethren. What I deal with so well right. So when you say God do this and God that, I don't know where that
Yes,
is.
yeah, man, you never dance that. He said, brother was no just kills. Ah, that like plan him. Great things I bring. What are they put up there?
You know, so
So I said, well, then just 5 minutes
we have to be
ago.
careful the way I use God, you know?
5 minutes ago, everybody was out there killing and doing this. Hold up your hand, man, God, man, who going to go take a back me, or do this. And here comes our fight. Great things I bring from John. Everybody turn Kanye and turn on. They got it now. Oh, God. Why? I don't think you look here and use God.
So hold on. I don't want Sadie. I don't want glasses to get out of the subject.
No, man, we're ready feet, man, we're ready feet, man. No answer, yeah, man. What I'm saying, yeah,
Unsize.
yeah, man.
Understand me? So no, seriously.
That's so explaining.
Would you mess with a Mardo?
Like I said, that's a big, you have to be more specific,
All right.
specific, you
Let me
know?
ask you a question.
Yeah.
Can you love and support someone who's married but emotionally unavailable?
But,
Emotionally
yeah,
unavailable.
but what you have to understand is no relationship is not a one-sided thing, you know. It takes two to tango.
So basically, so
yeah,
you would mess with a Mardo.
So I could want to as much.
With Mrs. Jones.
I could want to as much as I want to. If this married one doesn't want to be involved, then I can make her be involved.
So hold on. So even though she's married, right, and she's going through a situation, and she wants a shoulder to cry on. You understand me? And things may lead to another. Can you take yourself out of that place to not to go all the way and say, you know what, you're going through a situation, you know, I'm not going to bother and leave. Would you do that or would you just devour the
Be a knight in shining armor.
Well, say that again now because I don't want to start the talk.
Be a knight in shining armor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
For the damsel in distress.
So the lady is going through her situation, right? Or whatever situation or marriage on. You know me I say, and she need a shoulder to cry on. And she came to you now for you to listen to her problems and counsel her and pat her head and put her head on your shoulder and hug her up and maybe it's a woman where you probably all love long time and you want to get in at the bed. Can you be emotionally unattached where you won't take advantage of that situation, even though the situation presents itself?
Well, you're not going to take advantage of anything. So let me address that first and foremost. When you say take advantage, when you say, you know, listen to her, to pat her and to you know, for a shoulder to cry on, that's not the situation that we're dealing with. We're just dealing with a situation where you might meet a female, she's married, but she's having problems maybe within her. Right. And so you're not going to say, well, I'm not going to talk to you and you can't be my friend. No, you can be her friend. You can be her friend and be a support. And even if you feel like you would want to, you know, if you feel like you'd want to even go a little further, then you know, then that is where the self-discipline is going to come in and say, well, you know what, you have to resolve the situation personally, even though I might feel a certain way about you, but I might not want to go that distance with you because, you know, you're still have a legal binding contract with someone.
So basically,
You know,
you're saying it's never good to take advantage of that situation.
no, because you know what? Let's say,
Don't put yourself in that position. Don't compromise.
let's say eventually, because you have men, you know, who a woman might come up to her, a female might say, well, my man do this to me. And the minute she said that, the man jump on, yeah man, and start talking about the man. You know, just, you know, and then next, you know, she and him get back together and then she look on you and say, you, sure, you know, she look on you way because, you know, yeah, she look on her and say, you know, sure, the minute, yeah, traffic, yeah. And yeah, sometimes people go through things and they get back together and they overcome their issues and whatever. But the point is, if you're just there for her and can be a, you know,
Yeah, brother.
and be yes and
Yeah, brother,
be a support,
don't
you
be
know
a-
what? Eventually she's gonna respect you more. And you know, seriously, I'm gonna give you a personal.
Hold on. So basically, what you're saying, right, I'm just assuming. So even though she like you and she married, and you're not trying to get her in the bed, she'll respect you more.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, because you know, women have high respect. Some women have a lot of respect for a man who can maintain a certain. Yes. Yeah, man, they're attracted. You see, a woman mind is very, very complicated, you know, and very technical, you know. And I'm gonna give you a personal experience. When my daughter's mother got pregnant with her, I had a girlfriend at the same time with her. And my girlfriend, she at the time wanted she and I to be together. And I said, well, no, I think right now at the right time for that because right now I have my daughter and I now leave my daughter no matter how I love you. Me now leave my daughter mother. And you know, and years after she come on, she admitted to me and said, you know, you would say, well, I respect you more for that because you never, you know, at the time because at the time she was only focusing on her needs and what she wanted. But after I said to her, well, you know how I feel about you still, but I have this obligation and this commitment. Me can't leave my daughter. And you know, and she years after she come back and said, well, I'm a
That
respect
makes you
you.
rate you.
Yeah, she respect me more for that.
You make a significant start.
Yeah,
Just
so
fall in.
so you know, when you say you know, if you talk about because when you reach certain maybe when you're younger, yes, but when you reach certain age and you're mature,
You have no problem with that.
when you're mature to a certain level, because when we're younger, yes, maybe we would maybe think twice about it. No, man, because
No, if problem was where you
yeah,
are.
them things that happened to me before, you know, where, yeah,
Let me ask you something.
but when you reach certain, when you develop and you grow and you mature and come into certain, you know, certain vibration, then you know, certain things, you know, just really, you don't have to really run it down, you know, you just,
Let me ask you something.
you know, you just enjoy, because sometimes there's, one of the worst things that can destroy a relationship within a man or woman is sex. A lot of times you see a woman and you get to know her and you don't get along the greatest. The minute the bed thing get involved in it, it's a
Yes, it's very frustrating.
mash up.
Ratings drop.
Yes, because
Well, let me say something.
then certain expectation,
Allow me to ask
certain
you.
expectation get amplified, and you can deliver certain expectation, and she can deliver, and then
Let me ask you
all
something.
kind of things come into play.
Let me ask you something.
I want to say something, you know. I want to tell a little story. So. I mean, glasses.
Let me ask you.
All right, go on.
I was saying at the time when that proposal come to you, comfort zone was established elsewhere. When I say comfort zone, I allow you to think about that part. There's a comfort zone right there where your daughter was at. Your comfort zone lies with your daughter and your significant baby mother. If you was not comfortable, I know you wouldn't have resisted that offer. I know that. So me I put in me I interject this comfort zone. Then it was there. That's why you have no interest in leaving. Go ahead and ask question.
No, it's not a question.
Make your statement.
Where I said. All right. So where I work in the hospital. And a nice, pretty young girl in there. She love me half, you know, mind. What you say? She married. And she make it known to me that she want me. You understand me? Every time. What you say? I got hurt years ago. And I vowed that I would never do that to somebody again. See it? So, well, I know, man, so let me tell my story, you know, brother. So they say, even though she want to give me vow say me not message no married woman. Yeah, me not message no married man. No, brother. Me not do that. Yes.
That's all you can say.
Shark, young boy.
Well, you see with that, well, you see that.
Me no fault nobody. Me no fault nobody. If you want to go and mess with a married woman, that's up to you. I don't have a problem with that. Me, me not do that.
You tell my friend, I reverse it. You know what I mean? That not something where you run go jump. I know something for your man run go jump.
It's that scenario that you just, bring to light. Al,
Yeah.
it's a different thing from where I talk about,
No, but you say, well, the question what I initially asked you, would you mess with a married woman?
Because, check it now. She married.
Right.
And she attracted to you. So, she don't have a problem. Does she have a problem with her husband?
Well, I don't know. She have a problem with her
Well, so
husband.
that's what I'm saying.
I don't know.
Does she have a problem with her husband? So she only want to be with you from a physical perspective. So right here that tells you that you talk about character now. You have to look at her character now, and you have to start thinking about and say, well, if let's say she was single and you were dating her, I said we should have deal with you and deal with the next man.
Deal with the next man.
So based on that now, she's not qualified to yeah, you did because there is no substance to this.
Lowering our standard.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Adulteress and a seductress.
And she could even be a nymphomaniac too.
Well, that's when you start to mingle, that's where the
Well, I definitely know she's a harlot. She's definitely a harlot.
But you know what you're looking at? I know most time we're looking at, oh, she's pretty and sexy.
We're looking at the physical appearance.
Yes, and then when I realize
The heart.
that, yeah, we have to look on the heart most time and look on other things because just play a role with her and for it over you realize the boy name is worth it. You know.
Potiphar's wife, a beauty in the sight, but Joseph still party there because he was young, but he wasn't foolish. He knows his
Again, I really not, I can't really say yes or no to them things there in a Sadika. I really, you know, I don't really know about them things there.
Let me ask you a question.
That's the first grub where you get after a young age. We are telling about the story I told you. And Brian got through to become who he is. And he passed through all those tests. Meaning the woman see him as a young youth. I want to take advantage. I'm youth. That means she want to lie up with it. But knowing that if her husband catch that in those kind of a dead, but yet still, she not going to do I didn't do that dead. But yet still,
Well, I don't know if, if she wouldn't dead.
she not going to.
We don't know that. We don't know. We don't know that. We don't know that.
But if I not killer,
We don't know
that. That him will kill the man.
We don't know that.
All
We don't know
right.
that.
Tell me something.
Can I ask a question? Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I mean, doesn't matter who answers, you know what I mean? Is emotional cheating cheating?
Sure. If you look for a man,
What do you mean by, again, Al, what do you mean emotional cheating?
Like, say, no, you involved with, you have your wife, right? And, you know, and you fantasizing about someone else.
cheating. That's what the book says. I cheated.
It's cheating.
No.
That's what I'm asking. Is emotional.
If you look bad, you don't already commit adultery. That's what the book tells you. You
Still don't understand all what you mean emotional cheating.
Look, I say, if you look for them, lost. I cheated.
Why you all the same? I don't really want to study. I'll tell you.
Same thing. Same thing, me I say, brother. Same thing.
What you saying?
Same thing. If you're involved with someone, is it okay for you to fantasize about having sex or having a relationship with someone? Is it okay? Is it okay? Yes or no?
Make you significant, and I know where you're at, and you're thinking, and see the effect where you get. You might get a slap. Yeah.
Well, you know, well, here, what?
You can't make your woman know. Say, well, then you have eyes for the next woman. You are why. And you go have eyes. She going to check you about it. She going to put you in check. Well, I'm sitting here with you. What your eyes doing over there?
Well, you know,
What your eyes doing over there?
to say, well, if you're involved with someone,
Now, just
and
why you look.
and if you should fantasize about, no one can control your mind but you, and no one can control, you know, your mind but you. So, and that might even be helpful towards your relationship. You'll be surprised. Because you let's say you're married and you're going through certain situation with even yourself physically. It might take a fantasy to help you to even satisfy your wife. So when I think about things, I just don't look at things just what my mind tells me or where a man feel. I have to look at it from all different angles.
So hold on. So let me get this straight. So your wife, she's making love to you, and you would rather she thinking about the next man and get off, and that would be okay to you. Because what you're just telling me is that sometimes, sometimes you are fantasizing about fucking another, being with another woman and getting off. So you're telling me it's okay for your woman to think about the same thing and get off.
How are you going to know she's thinking about it?
Oh, you gotta know. So you make it, you can't see.
How you know she's gonna? How you know she?
And then you have the right.
How you know she's thinking about that, Al?
And when you talk, you come back.
That's the way you
Are you when you
No,
talk?
no, no.
And when you talk, if you shut your mouth, you
No. I never said anything like that. I'm asking you, how do you know she is thinking about that? And how does she know that you're thinking about that? So when you ask me if it's okay, when you ask me if it's okay, then okay, yes, and okay, no. You dig? So it can't be like just, oh yeah. Suppose your wife, suppose you're in a relationship. All right, let me just say this. 1 minute.
So the initial question, hold on. So the initial question is emotional cheating.
But that's not, I don't understand why you call it emotional. Why would you call it emotional? I don't know if it's emotional because maybe, I don't know the right word for it as yet. I don't know if it's, that's
right. Is it okay for you to fantasize about another woman while you're making love to your wife? Or to your girlfriend? Is it okay? Yes or no?
Again, it might be a good thing because it might be that fantasy what make you be able to satisfy her, so she might even benefit from it.
You see the case with Puff Daddy?
Yeah.
You see the case? Look, you see your Puff Daddy?
You understand what I say, Al?
You see your Puff Daddy getting a problem?
So that might...
Especially when you ask him, Puff Daddy asks him all of the above, and he involved in all of the above. And you swear that he might talk more than we can.
Deal with Puff Daddy, right?
No, I'm telling you the situation when we are talking about a situation like that. He get caught up in an underwear.
No, I involve Puff Daddy in this. Puff Daddy, all right, is what it is. So
we are right with them because we don't read this yet, because you don't reveal that much. Those are the things that he had in mind, that he does.
It's a Puff Daddy on his mind.
Those are the things that he does. Look,
I don't care about Puff Daddy.
And he go all above and beyond that. You know what I mean? Bringing people in our yard, create all kind of scenario and you do that. Boning woman to do all of the above. Where you get out of that? Where you up to? Kinky. Pimpers paradise. Kinky. So you see when the kinky stuff when I'm
yeah, that was something totally different.
No, it's the same thing I asked you about. You know what I mean?
That's not what he's asking me about.
Kinky is not marriage. When marriage is a sacred vow between a man and a woman.
Puff Daddy not married, so why Puff Daddy have to come to this? Puff Daddy not married.
Yeah. Different thing you talk about this, Daddy.
Puff Daddy not married. Puff Daddy not coming to this conversation.
Yeah,
but Puff Daddy not do this conversation.
Well,
we are talking about marriage.
I just put it in there because you're living with somebody like they call it common law. Common law. Spouse.
And the thing about a fantasy, is that a fantasy...
You don't have to marry to establish a fantasy.
The thing about a fantasy is that that's why it's called a fantasy, because it's not real. So
I agree with you.
So when a fantasy, all right, it's like how I look at a fantasy is like using a Viagra, because if you're experiencing certain abnormality, you might need some Viagra to help you.
Oh, you know.
You know.
Oh, you know. You ever use it?
So then maybe a fantasy might be helpful to you and helpful to the relationship, and at the same time you would never ever look at another woman and be involved with her physically like that, but except for fantasy where that might help you. So You see, when I know the holy business, you know. Because I don't know about not holy now, not about holy. Because I the holy thing with people I talk about, because even don't tell me say the pastor and his wife, when them a do it, she not say, yeah man, and use some language. You understand? And then them come back at church and come about, oh Jesus, hallelujah, praise the Lord. I know say when them in the bedroom and it's sweetheart, she say, yeah man, give to me little harder man. And pastor say, yeah. Yes. So, hold on, Sadie, man, hold on, your time will come. So don't tell me, say when sweetness reach a certain level, pastor wife no call out for more, and pastor no beg for more, and say, give to me this way and give to me that. Come on. Them things they know, you said them things that we have to really be, you know? So, I don't know
prayer is good on me.
You know?
I mean prayer before you start work. You do a prayer, you have to read prayer. You know what? Look.
You know, my opinion, right? I don't think fantasy cheating is cheating. I don't think fantasy. You know, when you're dreaming, you know, you're having a dream, you're fantasizing. You don't know. Sometimes you don't know what you're dreaming. This person comes up in your spirit and you just start dreaming. Maybe
dream a dream. Dream a dream. You know what a dream is. Go ahead.
All right. I'm a dream about this person, right?
Yeah.
You fantasize about this person, correct?
Yes. Within your thoughts. Within your thoughts.
I dream about this person, but act upon my dream.
No.
You understand me? It comes a problem when you act upon the dream. Because you want it physically now. That's when it comes a problem. Yeah, but you want it. You don't want it.
How do you make your dreams reality?
Oh, you make your dreams reality? You make everything in your power to make that dream come reality. So if it's meeting that person, showing up that person's job, just happen to be at this place, you're gonna make it happen.
You will try to make it happen.
Right. But me now act upon my dream. No time me have dream, me not act upon it. Me act upon it.
Well, the thing
You
about
want to make your dream become a reality. That's when you act.
well, the thing about a fantasy.
So,
Because sometimes when we fantasize about certain things, we don't act upon it.
You have fantasy and you have dream.
Well, the dream.
Dream is something that you went to sleep and it happens while you're sleeping.
Right.
Your astral spirit travels out there and pick up whatever it picks up.
Right.
And that becomes a dream.
Right.
No, your fantasy along with your dream. If this same person that is in your dream you was already fantasizing about, then
Thinking about
that's an equation that you have to solve yourself.
So when suppose you was dreaming about, suppose you're thinking about this person, and go to bed and dream about this person.
That's totally coincidental because that means you have two traits acting upon. You are already in a fantasy, and then you go dream. Oh shit, your fantasy becomes dream. Then it's up to you to take it to the next level for it to become a reality.
No, me not upon that dream.
That's different. Well, you must know if the person belongs, then you to follow your moral compass.
Okay.
If the person belongs, because then you coming looking at it from a spiritual point of view, which you know wrong is wrong, is no way going according to the scripture. So you know. But if you want to be bitter, wide is the road, narrow is the gate. Wide is the road, but narrow is the gate.
How many times you used to go to church when you're small, Pat Sadie?
Me?
Yeah.
I'll need to reach teenage.
But you know, a fantasy doesn't necessarily have to be based upon an actual individual that you know. You could create a fantasy out of your
Well,
own.
that's what I'm saying. And that's what I'm saying. Keep it within the realm. You going out of what he's not talking about.
So,
Going on what he can
so a fantasy
yes.
is not necessarily have to be based on somebody that you.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
A fantasy.
No, you put in what he's saying.
You could.
You're throwing out what he said. He said certain things already that invalid him.
So you could.
So why would you want to throw that out?
So you could create a fantasy with a fictitious.
Fantasy is not something you create.
With a
I know
fictitious.
something you create. Fantasy is something we exist. It's hoping. Your mind was hoping on the fantasy crept right. I know something where you create.
So a fantasy doesn't necessarily have to be based on someone that you know personally
Why you think so?
or seen before.
Why you think so?
A fantasy
That's not a
could
fantasy.
also
No.
be someone that you create in your mind.
No,
It could be
no.
It could be a
That's
character.
not a fantasy. You call that illusion. You are hallucinating.
It could be a
No, that's not a fantasy. When you attack just now, I hallucinate. You create all these things out of hallucination. So you cannot call it a fantasy. You cannot call it a fantasy. It happened because you talk about the fantasy is somebody already exists. It's not created within, without. It's not created. It exists. No, we are talking about illusion. It's when something you hallucinate about something when really not happen. Not to mention their method. The person
what is the definition of a fantasy? Sadi, what is the definition of a fantasy?
Something that one think about and wants to make it a reality. Couldn't be a reality. You fantasize something that some moments that you are approved of within your mind and hopefully would want to enjoy the benefit of its realities.
Sadi, have you ever read a book?
We don't need to read no book. We will be answered.
Sadi,
No, I read no
have you
book.
ever-
Me tell myself no one. Me no
Sadi.
I read no man book.
Sadi, Sadi, have you ever read a
No,
book
sir. No,
and
I
there are
read-
characters in the book?
No, sir. I read many books, but I don't know the one we are talking about. I've never read.
Sadi, have you ever read a book that there are no pictures, but there are characters? You have to create their looks. You have to create their
What's
moods.
the name of that book?
You have to create their. It just could be just any book. It could be any book. It could be a romance. It could be a romance book. It could be any. It could be any.
You're asking me about a book when it's not written yet. This book, whoever tell me about not written yet, I don't know who are the author of that book.
All right, Sadi, have you ever read it? Sadi, have you ever read Hardy Boys?
Yes.
Have you ever read?
Tom and Joe Hardy.
All right, relax.
Yeah,
Sadi. Are there any? Have you ever?
That's Joe and Hardy Boys. I read them.
All right. Have you ever read? Have you ever read Matt Bolan?
No.
Well, I've read many books.
I need to.
No. So what I'm saying to you, what I'm saying to you in these books, there are no pictures, and you have to create when they
The story you're reading the
when-
story and you create your own. Imagine the one characters as you go
You have to put a face to these characters. You have to.
That's what make books. When you are reading, just see a movie at the same time. So don't teach. I'm well learned.
So when you read a book, you have to put a face. You have to, maybe they give you a name. They have to give you. You create a personality, and you have to give this character life. Now that is also a fantasy. You understand? Because it's something that's not real that you create and bring it out. You understand? It's not real. So a fantasy, back to what I'm trying to explain, if you'll allow me to explain it. If you allow me to just try to explain. So back to what, so a fantasy could be someone that you have created that you have never seen, and you've given that face, you've given that face a name or a smile or a look or whatever. It doesn't necessarily have to be someone that you know. That's not what a fiction is totally based upon. That may be one aspect of it. You understand?
So let me ask you a question. Can you fantasize about someone you never met?
I just said that you could create that fantasy in your mind. You could create that character in your mind. You could create that character and you could create a personality. You could create a smile. You could create a shape. You could create everything about that character. It's a fantasy. That's what a fantasy is all about. It doesn't necessarily stop at where it's somebody that you have to know.
What you call it?
And a person could go and a person could play it out on canvas and fantasize about a character and put it on canvas or paper and start drawing in and bring to life that fantasy. And then we call it what? We call it art. So when we're having a conversation, we have to reciprocate, and reciprocity is the word. We have to listen and allow others to bring out and peer out. Because we're not, we have to listen. We have to give each other a chance to listen and hear what you're saying. We're not going to be able to learn anything from each other.
Yeah, but we can't learn through debate. We are only debating. We don't have to agree on every point. But I'm listening to you, and if I disagree to a point, I know the reason why I disagree. Because I need to have my own experience. Without my own experience, I wouldn't be able to say what I said. But like how you asked me about those books, Frank and Joe Hardy, and them daddy, the famous detective man. I read those books. I read Nancy Drew, and I also read Mark Twain, the famous Tom Sawyer. Because one thing I love to read, I was a brilliant English scholar. I'm in love with reading. God, that's what most of my knowledge comes from reading. Things that I read about before it was taught to me on Blackboard in this classroom. So, you know very well when I start.
Not doubting that. What I'm saying, Sadi, is when we're listen what I'm saying is that whenever time say something, and you have to give someone a chance to illustrate what they're trying to bring across to you, to give clarity to what
No,
they're
but it
to.
makes the
There you go
argument
again.
fun when
There you go again.
no, it makes the debate more fun.
No, it doesn't make it
It
more.
makes the
No,
debate more fun.
no, it doesn't make the
No,
debate
that
more.
are your.
Because
I
if
know
someone,
the listeners out there
no,
who listening,
no,
they not turn off and them are listening.
no, they're not getting a
Because
chance
you cannot hear what you're saying.
because they're not getting a chance to hear what I'm saying in response to what you say. I'm giving you a chance to explain what you're saying, but you're not giving me a chance to explain, in contrast to what you're saying.
When you touch a point, when that I have to address, that's when you ever been in the courtroom when the judge, when one attorney say objection, whether it be the defense or the prosecution, and the judge is there sitting down and the gavel and say. So you have that's the kind of world we live in.
No, and sometimes the judge have to tell one of those parties that you have to allow Mr. So-and-so.
Yes, all of that happens.
Right.
Yes,
So,
I'm not saying objection to that.
I'm just saying that you have to give someone a chance to
Depends on
illustrate what they're trying to say. Because the reason why I use the analogy with Hardy Boys and books is because I'm trying to explain to you what a fantasy is all about. You
Maybe not in my terms. I know what a fantasy is. But you can't fathom that.
The gentleman is saying, give him a chance to speak. I understand that you want to rebuttal every minute. I understand you want to rebuttal every minute, but let the man speak. That's all the man is asking, but let the man speak.
I don't know what a fantasy is. I don't know what a fantasy is. Tell me, sir, what a fantasy is, sir. I'd like to hear your idea of a fantasy.
So, when you say, someone should fantasize about, someone else while with a partner, like I said, we're, it's not, you have to look at things in a broad, I was watching a court case, and it's one of the most, it was alarming. There was a couple who sued a masseuse, and the husband sued the masseuse because he said the masseuse gave his wife a massage and she had a physical fulfillment that she's never had with him. And so now he said that's creating problems in his life. So this woman is saying she had some injury and she went to this masseuse and he massaged her ankle. But during the process of the massage, she experienced a sexual fulfillment. And as a result of that, she's craving for this massage all the time, and she's not able to reach that level of fulfillment anymore with her husband.
can't understand my state.
So these,
Hold on, look, more you tell me what really happened at the two with the man wife at the massage parlor.
so,
What did
so these are,
what else in the word that me can't understand, that a baby can't understand.
so,
I'm not understanding a grown car. Like, what really happened? What did he do?
so, you know, there are experiences that people have from time to time that you would never be able to even start to fathom, you know, how it come about and how it happened, you know. Because you just imagine that just imagine you have your wife and she had an ankle, she have an ankle problem or some kind of problem, and she goes to a masseuse and in order to get relief and some, you know, from the pain from her ankle. This massage to her ankle is so great and pleasurable that it hit nerves and, sensitive spots that she never knew existed, that she experienced this, sexual fulfillment, this physical and romantic fulfillment that she's never experienced before. And the thing about it is that the masseuse, he's only giving her a massage to her ankle, So here you are, this person experiencing this thing, and maybe even unknown to the masseuse that this is taking place with this person, but it's gone. It's so. It is so fulfilling to her that now she doesn't want to be engaged with her husband anymore. So when you ask certain questions, it just opens up a broad, and feel there,
Let me ask you something. You would have your woman go a massage parlor and you're not there sitting down. Would you do that? Yes or no? You're thinking, right?
Well, there's a thing called democracy. And so no man doesn't rule no woman, no woman doesn't rule no man. So if you wanna agree or disagree, that might not be up to you. If she wants to, if she wants to go or you want to go. Might just help you. You never know. But yeah. So these things happen from time to time, and you hear different scenarios where people experience certain things that is, you can't even start to. Comprehend it unless you're into that. Well, if you want to install a camera on her, well, you might, you might have to just install a camera that you can monitor 24 hours a day, because by you saying that you do not consent to it doesn't necessarily mean that it's not going to take place. So you could always, you could always say, well, okay, I don't want you could always say, I don't want you to go to a masseuse. As a matter of fact, most women do not like going to a female gynecologist.
Everybody in their class don't even know what that word was at the time. And man, you're not looking over here.
So a lot of men, if they should go to see a urologist, maybe 99.9% of men would want to go to a female urologist. And so, if a man is going to a masseuse, most men probably would want to go to a female masseuse. Now, if you want to tell me, now this is to you now, Sadi. No. If you're going to a masseuse, and you had two choices, you have one out of two choices, a male and a female, which one would you choose? I don't want you to jump. Sadi, I ask you a simple question. I want you to answer in the affirmative. Okay, see, yes or no. If you had to get a massage, let's say you have a medical condition and it's only a massage, we're talking hypothetically, and a massage is recommended, highly recommended to relieve you of this massage, and you have two professionals, a male and a female, which one would you prefer?
I have no preference. I have no preference. It's a professional. I have no preference. Keep it professional. So may I ask you again?
So now, so now, what I'm saying to you is that most women would prefer, and that's what I've been told by most women, that when they go to see a gynecologist, they do not want to see a female gynecologist prodding them and whatever. They would rather to have a male doing that. So the point I'm making is, is that the same way a man feels, it's the same way a woman feels. But for us, most of us men, we think that, oh, yes, man only think this way and women think that way. No, because just like how you see a woman out there and say, well, I think they look nice, I'm going to really take a work off it, It's the same way. I'm not just talking about you in general. I'm not talking about just you in general. I'm making a general statement. Just like the way a man would see a woman, well, I think they really look nice, man. Well, she's sexy and she looks clean and nice and everything. And And that's the same way a woman, it's the same way a woman feels. There is no difference between how a man feels towards a woman than how a woman feels towards a man. It's the same way. But we in our head as men, we feel like we're the only ones who is supposed and is entitled to feel a certain way. No.
Expect that from you.
Okay. I'm gonna answer a question. And here's how I'm gonna answer it. If you had a medical condition and you needed to get a massage done from a professional, and that massage is highly recommended. As a matter of fact, it's the only way that you can get relief from that condition. If you had two people, a male and a female, who could administer it, which one would you choose? And if I think you answer me in a truthful manner, then I'll answer what you just said. What the question you asked me. Oh, you would choose a female? Okay, well, in that regards, I have gotten my prostate checked before.
So you're a female. You see him? You see you? You see you here? Look. You still got booger. You still got booger.
I mean, you know.
Don't run from the fact. You still got booger.
Well, listen. Here's the thing as you have a thing as a subjective view and you have an objective view. A subjective view is your personal feeling towards something, and you have an objective view which is the fact. And so I can say, well, you're not entitled to your opinion because that's subjective. That's who you feel. That's who you feel. Right or wrong? Yeah, you really believe we actually agree on something?
You're right in your sense.
Yeah.
What are you truth?
Well, the truth. Well, the truth.
Around your being, that means you are that well aware of what I'm trying to say.
Well, when we talk about truth, or anything that we think about or talk about, it's relative in a certain way, because your truth could be different from my truth. Right.
Don't mix them.
That could be relative.
Don't get confused. Your truth is your truth, and my truth is my truth.
Because you could drink poison to cure certain things.
Yeah? You would do that? Yeah.
It's a poison.
Tell me more about it.
Well, BC is poisonous, right?
No, I don't hear that BC.
Oh, you never know that?
No, that's not what they say. They say BC counteracts poison.
Well, I know that BC is poisonous.
No, I know that mean. They say anytime you poison within your internal organ, anyway, in your digestive system. BC is the thing.
Well, BC is poisonous.
No, BC is not poison.
And if you ingest it, in the wrong way, it could poison you, but it could use to cure you.
What is cola? What is cola?
Cola, I don't know what that is.
That's African and call it cola.
Well, that's what Africans call it. But yeah. Time run out fast.
Well, glad to But that's look, I love American. I love my country.
Yes, big up to.
And I'm on the country because
Yeah, man.
we live here and we up here.
Big up to the Rockaway Marcel, Gilligan, Selwyn,
Very good for the
Joe. You know,
Very bad.
all ones and one promoter for Rockaway. No respect over the years. Yes, Sister Natasha, promoter Trinidad, and also Sister Natasha from Sister Natasha from Hotel Guyana, and Joanna from Haiti, you know, and Dana from Far Rockaway. Big up Dana, big up yourself, because you know, you hold the key, you hold the key, you hold the key. And I love you so much. Big up Jeanette. Yes. Say, forget now. Forget now. Na. All without Satan to overcome pain shall be late. All without Satan to get between them shall be late. It's been so long, I've been wanting to tell you children, and all those that forget that His Majesty exists shall suffer and pay the consequences, yes. For He's the first and the last, the beginning and the end. Well, all without Satan to be sleeping shall feel it. It's been so long, I've been wanting to tell you children that all those that forget His Majesty exists shall suffer and pay the consequences, yes. For He's the first and the last, the beginning and the end. He's the Lord Almighty. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Yes, the promised land. Going to the promised land. Oh yes, to the promised land. Oh yes, to the promised land, yeah. Make a step in a Rashmara. Make a way to Shashamali. Take another stop in Addis Ababa. I say, going to the promised land. There's work to be done. No, you can't run. Going to the promised land. Then I say, people, thanks for the prophet God. For He gave me the teaching so I could see the reality holds my urge to me. But there's a lot of work to be done. in the promised land. To the promised land. Oh yes, to the promised land. To the promised land. Yes, going to the promised land. Mother, 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 there's too much going on. And brother, brother, there's far too many of you dying. Just tell me what's going on. Picket lines and picket signs. Don't punish me with brutality. Mother, mother, and father, father. Yes, no need for war. Imagine all the people living in this world, just living in love, in unity. Imagine there's no heaven above us, and no religion too. It's not hard if you try. Mother, mother, father, father, did you see what's going on? Ay, 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 yeah, yeah. Yeah, there's work to be done. No, you just can run. We're into this the promised land. Going to the promised land. Going to the promised land. Don't make it over. Don't make me over. Don't make me over. Don't make me over. Yes, don't make me over. Yeah. For I don't want his clever conversation. Don't go changing, trying to please me. I never want to work that hard. I just want clever conversation, and I just want someone who I can talk to. Ooh. Don't go changing, try to please me. I never want to work that's hard. I just want clever conversation. I just want someone who I can talk who I can talk to. What is season? Just don't make me over. Just don't kiss me over. Just don't make me over. There's work to be done. I said, no, you just get it right. Yeah. You make me over. Don't go changing. Love has found its way in our hearts today. See the moon shines bright over yonder, and it makes me feel so fine. And I'm so thankful, oh so very thankful, that Jah has really made you mine. Love has found its way in our hearts today.